Hey guys, my name is Emma and today I'm talking to you about book series that I really need to finish. So for this I'm just going to be discussing books series that I have started, so at least read book 1, 4 and are a strictly continuation of each other. So there are a few books on my bookshelf that take place in the same world but are not strictly following the same characters on from one another, so I'm not talking about any of those in this video because as far as I'm concerned they almost get to be treated as standalones. There's no real great shakes if I forget some of the stuff in book 1, so we're not talking about them today. Having said that, I still have plenty to get through, so let's do this. The first one that I really need to prioritise is the Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden. This is book 3. I've read book 1 and 2 and this is set in medieval Russia and is looking at a lot of Russian folklore and magic and kind of ice gods. Book 1 is talking about kind of the interaction between the new gods of Christianity with the older gods folklore of kind of Russian folklore of sort of the demons and creatures there, and it follows our main character Vasya, I think her name is, and she is kind of a medieval princess and it's about her life and whether she's going to end up marrying, and she can see these demons and people can't, and it's all very good fun. Book 3 is the final one. It is in a trilogy. I'm really excited by it. I was going to try and read it at some point in winter. It's now got really sunny and there's just something weird about reading about kind of Russia in dead winter when it's blazing hot outside, so I think this is now going to wait until October. Another one that I definitely need to get around to finishing is the Lady Trent series by Marie Brennan, The Memoirs of Lady Trent. This is book 1. I've read book 1 and book 2 of a series of 5. I think that they are absolutely amazing, really great fun, and I kind of don't want to burn through them too quickly. This is if David Attenborough met Victorian England, met dragons with a female protagonist. If you can imagine all of that smashed together, that's kind of how I describe it, and it is detailing Lady Trent's experiences going from like a fledgling nature enthusiast and dragon enthusiast to a fully fledged dragonologist specialist. Book 1 was her first expedition out and book 2 was her second, so I'm assuming book 3, book 4 and book 5 will follow along a similar vein, looking at kind of the major events of her life and where she started to make a name for herself in the industry. It's absolutely wonderful and lovely and they're great fun, and I need to get around to them, but I know that they're going to be a good read, so I'm almost like banking them for a rainy day, and I don't want to burn through them too quickly. I just recently finished book 1 of the Raven cycle. This is the Raven Boys. This is 1 of 4. I am keen to finish this, but it's definitely not a high priority, let's put it that way. This is YA, which is one of the main reasons why I'm not that fussed, but I have heard really good things about the series and apparently it does hold itself together fairly well across all 4 books, and it was good fun. It was a really entertaining time. I don't currently own book 2, which is always going to be a factor that slows me down. If you don't own the next book in the series, it's quite hard to get to the next book in the series. That is the case for quite a lot of these here, but it is on my Goodreads want to read, and when I do eventually get around to picking it up, I'll probably read it fairly quickly immediately after that. Don't feel like I need to talk about the Raven Boys too much because most people know what it is about, but basically magical realism, team of boys, young girl called Blue, dead king. Yeah, you get the gist, one again that is hugely popular on booktube, so almost doesn't really need much talking about, is the London series by V.E. Schwab. This is book 2. I bought it recently. I've only read book 1. It is a trilogy. It's now finished. This is a magical world where there are multiple kinds of London that have different varying degrees of like magic in them and how much you can control magic, and they're all overlaid over the top of each other, and it follows our main character Kel, who can move through them. A whole bunch of stuff went down in book 1 and it's now kind of dealing with the ramifications of that. I really enjoyed it and I'm keen to finish it off because I quite like it when series are you can able to buy them and finish them kind of thing. This one I probably will try and prioritise more than some of the others. This is a book series that actually got mentioned in the series that I want to start because I've technically started the second trilogy in the same world, which is Mageborn by Steve Aaron. This is the Age of Dread trilogy and I can't remember what the first trilogy is called. I really need to start and finish the first trilogy. And then obviously finish this one as well. As I said in my previous video, I think I can get away with continuing with this one, but part of me doesn't want to until I've read the first trilogy because there's a whole bunch of references to characters which I don't have an emotional connection to now, and that's not making the writing any worse. Like, I still really enjoyed this book, but I think I would enjoy it a fraction more if I had all of that previous knowledge, and it just kind of makes sense, you know, to like read them in order. So I think I might do that one, which means that this trilogy could take ages to be finished if we're waiting for me to get through 3 other books before I read the next 2 books. Like, that's a lot. I recently, as in this month, I don't know if you'll have seen this wrap up by the time this video goes out, started the Invisible Library series by Gwyneth somebody or other. It's here. There are 5 books in this series as far as I am aware, and it is a magical world where it's kind of a multiverse idea where different instances of books like classic works appear with slight variation across all these different multiple universes, and the library is this kind of great society outside of all these multiverses that tries to collect individual examples of these differences, and they have kind of ramifications in the world. It's a fun series. I wouldn't say it's the best in the world. I think it's a highly entertaining read, but it's one of those ones where you stop and you think about the plot and you go, I don't make any sense. Like, I had a good time, but it's really kind of stupid if you think about it hard. But I read it on ebook, and I will probably pick up the rest on ebook, and it's always nice to read books about books, so I will end up finishing this one off, but it's really not high on my list of priorities. Which, with the way that my book reading goes, by saying that means that I will get around to all the ones I've said are not high on my list of priorities way before anything that I would consider a priority. Because that's how mood reading works. You go, huh, I've been wanting to get to that for months. I know, read something completely different. I also started the Lady Astronaut series this year, and I think book 2 is out, and I don't know if book 3 is. And this is set in 50s America, but after like an asteroid has hit the Earth, and then it's going to kind of send us into an extinction event. So our space race kind of in that time period isn't just about kind of the scientific achievement of getting to the moon. It's actually, crap, we need to build a colony up there because Earth is gonna die. Like, massively gonna die. It's good fun. It's a slow burner because they have not even got to the moon yet, particularly at the end of book 1. Spoiler alert. So I don't know how much I'm going to prioritise it because it is going to take much longer than I originally thought. It has a lot more about the maths of the actual space race rather than going up into space than I thought, but it was really good fun. So I do think I'm going to get around to finishing it because I had a good time, and generally with series, as long as I had a good time, I'm happy to keep going. It's when I feel like I'm sticking around for just nostalgia's sake of the characters, that's when I start to get annoyed. The final one I want to talk about is a kind of a bit of a left field one. It's a book series that I have not read in years, and I can't remember if I ever finished it or not. It's called the Demimonde series, and there are 4 books, and they match up to the different seasons. It's by a guy called Rod Rees. I've never heard anybody talk about it on BookTube before. They were really good fun. I can't remember I finished it off, and they're so long and so complicated and so intense, I would have to go all the way back to book 1 to then try and finish it off. I'm not saying that this means that I won't do that, because I'm kind of still keen to, and I'm not too sure whether I actually got 2 books in or 3 books in, because the books are so long and it's been such a long time since I read them. But the basic premise is the government has created kind of a war game type situation in a computer game where they've taken various big bads from across history, like Genghis Khan, not Hitler, but Hitler's right hand man, whose name I can't remember now, Goering maybe? I think it's Goering, and a whole bunch of other people like that, and they've just shoved them into one world and then let them play out different things as like an experiment. Wargaming is kind of a classic thing that is definitely done, and it's kind of like a military strategy that goes back for years. That's a whole separate conversation, Emma. I could really geek out about war games if I wanted to, but there's something weird that's happened with the AI where they basically built the computer program too clever, and now these characters are acting almost independent to their programming, and they're going to send somebody in to this computer program. It's got a proper sci-fi / historical fiction slant with the way that these two interact, and they're sending this this kind of young agent that they have to go in to try and I think the president's daughter might have been sucked into it. It's one of those kind of weird crazy heist things, but it's great fun because you have all these different historical characters being thrown together, with all of this tech talk over the top of it, and you've got this kind of weird mishmash of historical fiction where each of the different zones that they're in is a different kind of time period, and so you kind of move across them and you get weird kind of glimpses of different cultures, and the whole thing, I just remember it being so much fun. Like, again, it's one of these ones where you get partway through and you think, plot wise this makes no sense, but your setting is so entertaining and your character's so entertaining. I'm totally down with it. I'm here for the ride. The ride is stupid and going in weird directions, but I'm here for it. It's a good time. My hands are up. I'm screaming. Everything's good. So yeah, I really want to go back to the beginning and read them. They are like 800 pages each though. I don't know if I have that in me to commit to right now, but one day I will, and then I will finish them off. Talked for ages on that last one, didn't I? But yes, so that is it from me. Which series do you think I should prioritise first? I really should get around to The Winter of the Witch, because it's book 3 of a trilogy, so that would like finish that. Sorry, motorbike. That would finish that, and then I would have like another series ticked and done, and that would be really good for my soul, because I do quite like finishing series and then just like mentally feeling like that chapter is closed and then we're all good, if you get what I mean. So yeah, so that is it from me. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye guys.